and I.
Me and you, Ashley
Ashley and Tyler.
And Tyler.
Garrett and Taylor.
Garrett and Taylor, yeah?
For sure. 80% Tim and Alex. 75% chance Nick and
Hannah. I agree with that.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, it's this girl Kyra B coming at you with a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Love is Blind Season 7 episodes 1 through 6. So let's get right into the video. In this season, we're going to talk about Love is Blind that was filmed in DC. Love is Blind gave us 6-hour-long episodes right out the gate. Now, this video was supposed to come out a little bit quicker, but hopefully this video comes out before the next set of episodes comes out, so you know you'll be seeing it before the next week's, okay? But anyway, let's get right into the video because we need to talk about this season, because this season's already giving mess, giving drama, giving like what's going on here. So in this season, there's essentially 7 couples that we focus on for like the first 5 episodes. So first we meet Leo. Leo is an art dealer from an Italian background. This man says that, you know, he inherits this art dealership, you know, business because after his, you know, from his grandparents and then his mother, you know, they all passed away from cancer. So he inherited, you know, the business, which is very lucrative, that's what he says. He says that he's looking for a partner, that he just doesn't want a partner to, you know, find him because of his money for his business, whatnot, and so forth. But I'm just like, this guy every 5 seconds is really just talking about his business, how rich he is. Like, oh, I got the money, da 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 da. Like, what's like, what do you like? He was talking about it. Like, don't make your business your identity. Like, every 5 seconds, it's like, oh, yeah, I got the money. Like, da 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 da. Like this, I'm rich, you know. I have this, I'm an art dealer. I'm an art dealer. I'm an art dealer. Like, so he was talking to these 2 girls, which is Hannah and Brittany. So Brittany, she, you know, she's saying that, you know, in her previous relationships, she usually gets spoiled, you know, they be paying her for paying everything for her, whatever, da da da. But, you know, she doesn't believe in, you know, that, you know, people should do 50-50, but, you know, he also said that too, but he was saying that he wants, you know, his partner to, you know, always pay for something. Or I'm just like, you can't be speaking about how much money coin you got and then say, oh, you gotta pay for something. Which I do think it's fair though, because I'm just like, you know, if you want to say you and your partner, you know, feels like they're in a conjoined situation, you know, sometimes people feel like, you know, they don't have a say in situations because, you know, they don't contribute to things. So, you know, it is what it is. But I'm just like, this dude makes his business of that being an art dealer, having a large inheritance, you know, coming from an Italian background, you know, that he has this amount of money. Like, he got these Rolexes on his arm, like, you know, he got the money. He said he good, like, I'm rich. Like, he be saying that all the time. And I'm just like, all right, dude, we get it, whatever. So he kind of felt interest in Hannah because, you know, he's like, oh, I can probably explain this to her, da da da. She doesn't know. She's, you know, she probably won't be, you know, looking to him about his money. So he probably felt more attracted to Hannah because of that reason. While, you know, we have Brittany who kind of, you know, says that her previous relationship, she's been cared for, you know, like basically princess treatment. So these were his 2 connections. When he goes back to the boys' lounge, he's always be talking about Hannah, you know, whatever. But he had some type of attraction with Brittany because, you know, he liked her voice, da 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 da. Anyways, comes down to it, he decides to, you know, say, I'm gonna pick Hannah. He picks Hannah and, you know, he begs Hannah to be like, you know, I have 2 choices and I'm choosing you, essentially. and this and that, begging and pleading with her, like literally arguing with her, and like, you know, telling her like, you know, are you just picking your other option because that's his only choice, or are you what is it? So he like begged Hannah to pick him, and Hannah, at this point, you know, she already kind of like, you know, was ready with somebody else, and like ready, like she was good, she was set. So she felt bad, and then next day he comes around, turns around, and be like, you know what, we ended things, you know, mutually, you know, you can go off with your other guy, you know, I'm gonna stick with Brittany, But the thing is, after all this happened, he, like, Hannah basically already told Brittany, like, you know, like, I don't know if he's just trying to play you, whatever, but he literally just begged me to pick him. So Brittany kind of feels like a second option. Like, she just like doesn't understand, because in the pods he kind of messed up and told her that, you know, she was number 2 on his list, but then she bumped up to number 1. And Brittany was like, what? Like, why would you tell the person that you're speaking to that you were on the bottom of your list and then you just bumped up? Like, oh, okay, wow. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But anyways, with that being said, he comes back, you know, tries to apologize to Brittany, you know, write her a poem, whatever, and then proposes to her. Anyways, he proposes to Brittany. Brittany accepts, and, you know, they're engaged. And so now we're going to talk about Hannah and Nick D, because I already mentioned Hannah. Hannah was talking to, you know, Leo and Nick D. Nick D was basically a very much a commodity in the pods. You know, they said that his voice really sounds like little Rico Suave, like he very smooth when he speaks, So she just like, she's feeling a little played. You know, Hannah has this type of situation where she's really given insecure. Like, she doesn't really feel confident in herself. She's saying like the way that, you know, Nick is talking, like it's giving that, you know, he's gonna care what she looks like, because Nick is like an athlete, a former athlete, you know, she was a cheerleader, so she's like, oh, he's gonna care what she looks like, whatever. So, and because like most of the girls in the pods didn't really care for Nick in the pods, they kind of felt like he's too much a smooth talker, so they kind of like bypassed him. They all kind of convinced Hannah to basically stop speaking to Nick and basically cut it off, because the way Hannah was explaining it is like, oh, Nick is already making you feel insecure about yourself. You know, he's very much a smooth talker, Like, I think you should cut it off and focus on Leo. So she actually cut it off of Nick. That was only Nick's, you know, Hannah was Nick's only choice. Like, he was really just only speaking to her, focusing on her. And she has to cut it off with him. So she decides to talk to Leo, but Leo is like, I'm still talking to Brittany, so like, what's tea? So basically the next day she realized that what she did was a mistake, and basically was like, you know, she felt like she made a mistake because she felt pressured into ending things with Nick, which I'm just like, you shouldn't really make anybody influence your decision. Like, if you feel that way, that you want to end things with the dude, okay, you feel that way, but don't come around and be like, oh, I made a mistake, So she goes back, apologizes to Nick. Nick is like, you know what, I was sad, but you know what, I'm really happy that, you know, we decided to continue situations with him. And with that being said, you know, Nick, tells them that they love each other, they whatever. And, you know, she felt like really comfortable and calm with him, basically felt more closer to Nick than she does with Leo. And after Nick basically professes love to her or whatever, she felt like she was 100% locked in with Nick. So fast forward to the whole Leo situation, she's locked in with Nick, so she really can't pick Leo in the situation, and that's how Nick and Hannah became engaged. Let's talk about Tyler and Ashley. Tyler and Ashley, you know, in the pods, you know, I think Tyler is like half Serbian, half black. I think his mother was the one who primarily raised him. You know, because his father left the relationship with his mother. You know, they really like connected off of like day one. Like it was just day one they connected. They prayed together, like they're very much into together. I remember he prayed before they ate. Like, you know, they're locked in, they're good. So then we got Tim and Alex. Alex, you know, she and Tim, they hit it off. You know, Tim and her basically talked about like a lot of deep connections. Like, they didn't really have like a lot of like lighthearted talks. Tim, he's a military dude. He had 2 older sisters and they both passed away. And on most of their talks, like he basically spoke about, you know, his sisters and the relationship that they had and how much his older sisters mean to him. And, you know, basically there's a lot of, you know, situations where he kind of compared like something with Alex to his older sisters. Anyway, they ended up getting engaged and whatnot, you know, and that's that. I'm trying to move it along. But then we got Taylor and Garrett. Taylor and Garrett probably like hit it off pretty quick too. They were probably the first ones that got engaged. And you know, they're basically a science couple. You know, he was a physicist and like she knows a little bit of physics too. I probably forgot her occupation, but she has like a hydrogen molecule tattooed on her wrist. Like they hit it off, you know, talked about it. Taylor, she's, you know, obviously has some Asian descent in her, but you know, they're probably the only couple, one of the only couples besides Ashley and Tyler that didn't really speak about looks so much. So they hit it off, you know, they had like a good little dry banter. They was pretty cool, whatnot. But, you know, they were the science couple. Then we have Marissa and Ramses. Marissa was talking to 2 guys, Bowden and Ramses. You know, Marissa, she's also a military person. She talked to this another guy who's also, you know, Bowden was a military person. So they hit off on that connection. You know, they hit off on science fiction or whatever. She, you know, has a strong connection between, you know, him and Ramses. Ramses, you know, he has some Latino descent because he speaks a little, you know, Espanol every time that they enter a pod or whatever. Her and Bowden really never talked about like romantic stuff or wasn't that romantic, and that her and Ramses were already like getting into that romantic point. So she actually ended up cutting it off with Bowden to focus on Ramses, and you know, the rest is history. They got engaged. Monica and Steven, this couple, like, please. Then he finds out that, you know, recently that his father has some African descent. And, you know, he was going all of his life that he was Italian, okay? He was going all his life that he was Italian. He finds out that his father has African descent after doing, like, a Ancestry.com test. And he's like, you know, he's basically 25% black or, you know, whatever. And, like, he's talking to Monica. So while he's talking to Monica, you know, Monica, she also like revealed to Monica that he was a previous cheater and this and that. And I'm just like, Monica's just like, oh, thank you for telling me this, da 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 da. And also in saying this, he's the same guy that basically told Monica that, you know, because Monica is like mixed with some like Latino descent as well, giving Dominican. She basically told Monica that, like, you know, Monica's like mixed with like these and races. So he was like, oh, she's a mutt. Now, if you don't know what a mutt means, it basically means someone of mixed races, you know. Essentially, example, Mulatto, as well known as Lotto. She had a stage name as Mulatto. Obviously, Mulatto had like very strong negative connotations, so therefore she rechanged her name to Lotto. So calling somebody a mutt when you're only 10% or 25%, you know, black African American is not okay. And then she basically confirmed and agreed with this dude. Like, It means two things, either a dog or someone of mixed race, which is basically, that's what the connotation and context I was using. And I'm just like, girl. And he also revealed that he, previously voted for Trump. Also, when Marissa basically tells Bowden or whatever that she dated a Trump supporter. Like, it was just given like a lot of like, what's going on here? But neither here or there. Let's continue. Monica, she's 36. She's probably like the oldest in there. And she basically connected with Steven. Steven basically, he's like, you know, he loving his black queens. He you know, he's like, he got that 25% black in him or less. So he was just like loving Monica, whatever. Anyways, they got engaged, whatever. So those are your 7 couples engaged. Let's go back to Leo and Brittany. Leo and Brittany, they're engaged. They have that reveal. Each reveal is very giving awkward, but granted, yeah, that was each reveal. Especially Leo and Brittany's. Leo, he meets Brittany and he's like, oh, she's so good looking, da da da. Brittany's just kind of like trying to comprehend that she really said yes to being engaged to this guy. Leo is so infatuated that, you know, Brittany looked really good. You know, they were chatting, they were talking, they were sitting on a couch, you know, trying to get comfortable in like to the fact that they're engaged. And in that conversation that they were talking on the couch and kissing, which was very awkward, he basically was like, you know, he just really likes that she's really good looking. And Brittany's just like, okay, what else do you like about her? You know, her. Anyway, Brittany, she was kind of like not really putting 2 and 2 that, you know, she really did say yes to getting engaged to this guy. In the conversation, she was like, you know, if they don't end up going to Mexico, let's go to Miami. And I'm just like, right after your reveal, you're basically saying that you're not going to go to your honeymoon destination, which is Mexico, and go to Miami. If you're already talking about that after first meeting each other, that's really giving negative red flags, like what's going on here. So basically, Love is Blind told us that they didn't end up going to the honeymoon. They ended up going to Miami and then breaking up their engagement. So Leo and Brittany didn't even end up going to like the second half of this whole situation, even though they spent 5 entire episodes dragging out Leo and Brittany, like art dealer, rich art dealer with the Rolexes. Like, okay, but that's out of the 7 couples, they didn't end up making it. So Love is Blind have 6 couples going to Mexico. 6 couples make it to Miami. In Mexico, everybody going to Miami, you know, first night with your, you know, fiancés, each other, whatever, you know, just getting to know each other physically now after getting to know each other emotionally. So with that being said, everybody's talking about, you know, if they're going to cross that boundary on the first night, We know one couple in particular that for sure crossed that boundary on the first night was, you know, Marissa and Ramses. They did the deed. They were fine with it. They were like, yeah, we're good. We good. You got Tyler and Ashley, who, you know, they were trying to like, I don't know if we're gonna do this or not. Ashley was just like, you know, she really hasn't really been with anybody in a minute because, you know, she hasn't really been in a relationship that, you know, she really loves somebody to do that with. So, you know, it wasn't really clear whether they did anything right there. We got Monica and Steven, you know, where it's like Monica just like, you know what, she's waiting her entire life for somebody like Steven, You know, we got Taylor and Garrett, and, you know, they were like getting really comfortable with each other, which is really nice. I think he was probably surprised that, you know, Taylor was probably of Asian descent, because Taylor, she basically used, I guess her name was probably hyphenated, so she probably just used her because she's Asian. Like, her mother's Asian and her father's probably white. So her father's name was Kraus, and I believe her real maiden name is Fong. So, and Fong is basically would have been the giveaway that she's from Asian descent. With that being said, so, but he and, you know, Taylor were basically very comfortable with each other. They had a little dry humor, you know, science, you know, backgrounds, whatever. Just down the third. You know, Hannah, Nick D, you know, Hannah, when she first had that reveal of Nick, she was just like, Nick is not really what she expected, essentially, because Nick basically gave, you know, big buff football player, you know, very, you know, Rico Suave dude, and, you know, Nick doesn't give that. So she kind of like was not used to what he said, or felt like he didn't say, you know, like described himself properly. So she's kind of feeling very iffy about Nick, even though, which is kind of weird because you thought Nick would have felt iffy about you. And Nick is like, no, he really likes you, da da da, this and that. So anyway, I want to just speak about, you know, the events of episode 5 and 6 revolving, you know, Nick and Hannah, because everybody else, they're on their honeymoon. They basically living it up. The only two couples that kind of, the only 3 couples so far that really kind of like showed a little bit of like red flags, what I would have to say is Hannah and Nick, Monica and Steven, and Tim and Alex. And let me just talk about Hannah and Nick. So on their honeymoon situation, you know, Hannah, she kind of not really used to Nick like that. You know, just getting used to him as a person, whatever. Basically, I guess because he wasn't giving big buff dude, she just kind of wasn't really feeling it, but then she got comfortable with him and basically was just like opening up to him, which, you know, granted, it does take time because you know, yeah, you're talking to someone through a wall and whatnot, but meeting somebody for the first time and interacting with somebody is kind of 2 different things. Anyway, so they're on their honeymoon second day out on their honeymoon in Mexico. So Nick is like, you know, he's gonna ride these little horses. You know, have fun. He asked Hannah to join him. Hannah's like, no, that's gonna give him the ick. Give her the ick. Like, da-da-da-da. Like, no, if you do that, you're gonna give me an ick. Nick is like, I don't care. I'm gonna go ride the horses. Anyways, a lady decides to join him and is like, you know, can I ride these horses with you? And Nick's like, yeah, sure. So Hannah's watching, and they decide to, you know, race on the horses. So they're racing, whatever. You know, the lady noticed that Hannah was like looking with some disgust or whatever, giving jealous, giving bitter. And, you know, she basically said, she's like, ooh, she jealous. So Nick just got, like, you know, lightheartedly laughing, whatever. So they decided to race. They did race, and, you know, all he did at the end was like give her a high five. And that was it, you know, end of the story. So Hannah's like, oh, Nick disrespected me. Nick was disrespectful, like, Nick this, Nick that. So when Nick and Hannah decide to go to the party, he tells the guys, like, you know, when they came back from that situation, he saw that Hannah wrote down like 8 to 10 things of why, you know, she doesn't like about Nick because of that whole situation, that with the horses. And, you know, she wrote like mature, question mark, delusional was the last thing that she wrote, you know, respect, In that situation, Hannah was getting jealous because you obviously saw with your own eyes that, you know, all the ladies said, basically jokingly, maybe you don't really like it, fair. She just said, like, you were getting jealous. You're jealous because they're having a little horse race. Anyways, and all he did was, you know, high five the girl after the race. She decides to later write these things that we didn't know we didn't know until Nick brought it up. Anyways, because Hannah was the first person to bring it up to Marissa, and she decides to tell Marissa, like, you know, the girl said this and the girl said that. I feel like she was embellishing on the conversation because the girl just said, you're jealous, that's it. She never called you a B, she didn't call you nothing else. Nick kind of did a little kind-hearted laugh after the situation, but it wasn't really anything too much, like. So anyway, she's like, oh, she felt disrespected in that situation. You know, she doesn't even understand if Nick is mature enough, have an emotional thing. And I can see her side of the situation. Like, there is their first day out as an engaged couple, and you are writing for another person. But I'm just like, I feel like it's giving very insecure. Like, it's like if another guy interacts with another lady, is it going to set off alarms? But because all he did was race with another lady and give her a high five. I mean, after you said racing on the horses at the first place would give you that. Anyways, so Nick tells the guys she wrote this on the sheet of paper and left it out in the open, and he just he felt really hurt by the situation because it's really just me riding on the horses and you're already questioning it on the first day out whether I'm the right guy for you, and he felt really hurt by the situation. So when he came back to the hotel room, he basically actually talked about it with her because he was like, let's talk about this right now. And so he asked her, do you think I'm delusional? And they probably had this little mini argument. So they went back to the hotel room. She actually found it out the trash to basically read the list off, and basically was like, if somebody is if I'm talking to a guy and we're doing something and then they're like, oh yeah, he's jealous, and oh haha, and you're just laughing, haha, how do you feel? Now, granted, she didn't make a point there in that, but I just feel like it's definitely, she's the type of lady that is definitely going to give insecure, if this is what's happening on your honeymoon, she's definitely going to give insecure, when you move into the real world. So yeah, what's tea? We have Tim and Alex. Tim, he talks about his, past sisters, which is it's a really sad situation for sure. But, he connects it, back to Alex in many ways, which is kind of we're always on this heavy topic, whatever. Tim is very strong-headed, so is Alex is very strong-headed. With that being said, when they're out in the open, he's basically, they have this banter where he kind of doesn't back down, because he decides to be oh, I don't care, I'm still gonna do it, this and that, they were shopping for hats, I don't care if you don't like my hat, I'm gonna still buy my hat, which is fine, sure, you do you. But they just have this type of banter, which is they're both strong-headed people, which is kind of we're gonna see how long that lasts. To be honest. But he's very really giving this type of banter that he's always gonna pick on Alex, or really does something intentionally to make her upset, just out of having a joke or whatever. So essentially, to our, we didn't know this, but Monica and Stephen were chatting in the last episode 6, and Monica was talking about the other couples, and she was did you notice anything weird or off about Tim and Alex? Did you notice anything off? Just what happened between Tim and Alex? I thought everybody was cool. I thought the only couple that showed any type of signs of they were having an issue was Hannah and Nick. So when she mentioned Tim and Alex, I was yeah, Alex is Tim's answer to what he loves about Alex was a bit off, because he said what he loves about her is that she's not scared. And they're scared of what? And I'm just him to talk his stuff, da 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 da. And I'm just that's your best quality, what you love about your fiance. I'm just okay, whatever. It was a bit off-putting, but I didn't think anything of it. Come to find out, Monica, was oh, something off happened. I'm what? What's tea? Come to find out, Tim and Alex had some type of big argument. Now they said cut the cameras for real. That they didn't even record it, nothing like that. Tim decided to sleep in another hotel and Alex slept in another hotel. So they came back, they spoke about the situation. He was like, you know, we were having fun, we were having a good time, and then I guess, you know, we came back and I asked you what happened, and I guess Alex was saying that, you know, she was basically feeling homesick. She just didn't really feel like speaking in that moment, and she just did not know how to communicate that. So in that conversation, she kind of like argument, she was putting her hand over Tim's mouth, like basically stopping him from speaking. I think there was some type of negative words that were said to each other. There's other things like, you know, Tim said that he felt unheard in a situation. You know, he basically told Alex to speak, to tell you like, okay, what's the reason? And I guess Alex was like still going off, whatever. He just felt like it was very disrespectful for Alex to put his hand over his mouth to, you know, escalate the situation. I guess Alex called Tim out of his name. There was a lot of things. So when he came back to speak with Alex about the situation, he said that like he just felt like that conversation that they're having right now would have been their last conversation. He decided to pack up his stuff and go to another hotel room. So Alex thought that was the end. That was like they're done with the whole situation. Yeah, so she thought that was it, the whole situation. So they were talking it out, and he was just like, I didn't like what she did, and Alex was like, you know, there were some things that she did in that situation that was also disrespectful too. So she was just like, you know, they both had a part into the whole argument. It's not one side. But Tim, whatever happened, this dude, he felt very disrespected because he came back. It was probably the most quiet, I guess, you know, silent that Tim has ever been since we've seen this man, okay? So whatever happened, they really cut the cameras. They really did not record that. It was very bad, whatever. Heated situation. He speaks about like he only argue like that, and the fact that their second night on their honeymoon, they're arguing is kind of very questionable. So, you know, Alex was like, you know what, are we gonna still sleep in separate rooms? Like, what's tea? What's good? And, you know, Alex later like basically says like, you know, she wants him to still be here or whatever, because Tim basically told her like, I thought this was going to be our last conversation. Like, I'm not really sure right now. I can't give you an answer if we're going to continue this engagement, whatnot, and so forth. Alex basically, I guess she felt like she was kind of wrong in what she did last night. So she basically kind of like was basically comforting Tim, holding his hand, decides to hug him. Basically was just like, you know what, she still wants him to be here, basically apologize to him. And Tim is very silent. He's very like in a thinking mood, like, does he really want to be here or not? But I mean, I was just shook because Monica was like, oh, something was off, and I'm just like, what's tea, Monica? What's tea? And to find out she had the tea for real, was kind of like, oh, okay. So here we have, you know, Marissa and Ramsey, they seem like they're locked in. Tyler and Ashley feel like they're locked in. You know, Taylor and Garrett, they feel like they're locked in as well. So we have those three couples, while we also have these other three couples. But, you know, when we see the preview, everybody had their fair share of ups and downs. So we're just gonna have to see what's tea. And especially when they have that party with all the other, you know, pod members coming to see each other face to face, we already know that's going to be a whole drama in itself. But with that being said, I already feel like Hannah's going to be some type of insecure person to Nick, and that's not going to go well. Tim and Alex are going to go to another, you know, up and down situation, which I don't know that's going to go well. I don't know, child. I don't know. Monica and Steven, they seem to be really good, but Monica basically said that Steven's a chatty patty. Okay, he's basically a talkative dude. And she's like, yeah, I need to get a word in. And I'm just like, oh, he's a chatty patty? Oh no. But he's like, you know, Steven, like, we gotta let me share the space sometime. Like, we gotta have a conversation, we gotta have a dialogue, okay? You can't be just talking. So, you know, He's just like, I'm gonna work on that, da 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 da. And that's what we have so far, folks. So we have 6 episodes out the gate, you know, very, very long episodes. I feel like the season's gonna be a mess. There's a lot of rumors going about this cast, okay? But until we get some concrete evidence or the reunion, because the reunion definitely aired out last year, okay? So let's see if the reunion airs out this year about these rumors that's going around. Well, I'm just gonna give you guys what I'm seeing on the TV screen, and the TV screen's already giving mess. So let's just focus there. Let's stop there, okay? But anyway, guys, I'm back. We're doing reviews finally. Yeah, see you guys for your next batch of episodes. But anyway, guys, if you like the video, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns, and subscribe to my channel. Subscribe. And thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.